Hello, my name is Andrew Collins and I'm a Telly Addict. It's disconcerting when you see the same piece of archive footage in two documentaries in the space of a week. Here are some bouffanted ladies in the diverting time shift film Bouffants, Beehives and Bobs, the hairstyles that shaped Britain on BBC 4.
And a new generation of baby boomers push the bouffant to its limits, taking it higher and higher.
And here they are again, helping to shape a socio-political paradox about early 60s life on Dominic Sandrook's Cold War Britain on BBC 2.
Russia's got it, and she's producing it on mass production, really. And what we've got, why should we stop it?
Too many documentaries about the same periods in history, not enough newsreel to go round. I welcomed the apple-cheeked populist Sandrook's latest pre-packed sandwich of 20th century nostalgia, as I was a huge fan of Cold War tension, historically and culturally. I was the one actually saluting Pat Mitchell and Jeremy Isaac's definitive BBC series Cold War for 24 weeks in 1998. How would Sandrook lay his own claim to the same subject? By ramping up the dramatic tension.
And one writer in particular put his finger on it. Now that the brief visit to the dynamos has come to an end, he said, it is possible to say publicly what many thinking people were saying privately before the dynamos even arrived.
You see what he's doing? Apart from looking diagonally at the camera, he's not telling us which writer, is he?
And that is that sport is an unfailing cause of ill will. And that if such a visit as this had any effect at all on Anglo-Soviet relations, it could only be to make them slightly worse than before.
Tell us which writer.
His name?
Yes, his name.
Was George Orwell.
Thank you. You sweep off dramatically now. I'm all for making history interesting, but you can't just keep doing that trick unless it's actually a quiz.
Orwell wasn't alone in his horror of Soviet communism. There was one politician, more than any other, who had been trying for decades to alert the British people to the threat of Bolshevism.
Come on, I'll have to hurry you.
What he called the poison peril from the East.
Yet, you know we can see who it is now, right?
That man
Was Winston Churchill.
was Winston Churchill.
I'm still enjoying what Sandrook could legitimately call a sideways look at the Cold War. It is, as they say, the bomb. What Mark Smith called the look-back balls were in full effect this week. If you couldn't remember where you were when the first episode of Doctor Who was shot in November 1963, you were locked out of a very big love-in. Actually, I wasn't born, but Doctor Who was as important to me growing up as it was for all the men who now run its world-beating reboot. Actually, sorry, forgot to say, put on your 3D glasses now. Because 50th anniversary feature-length 94-country simulcast Bonanza special The Day of the Doctor was no ordinary episode.
Who is this man?
That's just what I was wondering.
Oh, that is skinny. That is proper skinny. I've never seen it from the outside. It's like a special effect. Oi! Ha! Matchstick man.
Except, of course, at the end of the day, it was an ordinary episode, just a long one that went out a bit nearer to the end of the day. 10 to 8, in fact. It messed with the timeline and united current Doctor Matt Smith with his predecessor David Tennant, a wizard wheeze on the part of the great intelligent Stephen Moffat. But they did this in 1973 for the 10th anniversary, and even kids too young to remember the episode The Three Doctors will remember that.
Compensating? For what? Regeneration, it's a lottery.
Oh, he's cool. Isn't he cool? I'm the Doctor and I'm all cool. Oops, I'm wearing sand shoes.
There were larks to be had, and Smith and Tennant clearly enjoyed the school trip, as did John Hurt as an uncatalogued extra bonus Doctor, despite the intergalactic gravity of his story arc in space.
You let this place go a bit.
Ah, it's his grunge phase. He grows out of it. Don't you listen to them. Oh! Desktop is glitching.
3 of us from different time zones is trying to compensate.
It was all quite head-spinning, partly because of the sugar rush tea-time energy of the acting, and partly because of the cavalier temporal lurches, but mainly because it made no concessions whatsoever to the casual viewer. I kept wondering what the uninitiated must have made of it all.
Hey, look, the round things.
I love the round things.
What are the round things?
No idea.
The origin of the round things was the subject of History Week's other keystone plank in the Beeb's relentless celebration of its biggest brand, an adventure in space and time. Written by a superfan with a typewriter, the irrepressible Mark Gatiss, this jaunt back to Doctor Who's birth, long ago, in a BBC far, far away, was a whole lot more inclusive.
Very well. Very well. Here, madam. Here's your bloody TARDIS.
With a lovely cast led by Jessica Raine as producer Verity Lambert, David Bradley as William Hartnell, and Brian Cox as head of drama Sidney Newman, all of whom have Who credentials, as do I, actually, as only true Whovians will know or care. The real star of the show was Television Centre. Unsentimentally flogged off as real estate by a BBC cowed by consecutive Murdoch governments, the Great Donut was regenerated for the loving lens of director Terry McDonough, and once again resonated with the chatter of people making television.
That's not the way we do things at the BBC, sir!
You don't say!
It goes without saying that the commissionaire was played by William Russell, who played Ian Chesterton, one of Doctor Who's first companions. This was typical of the affection that ran through what might have been, but wasn't, yet another BBC 4-style karaoke drama. Unlike The Day of the Doctor, if you didn't know, it didn't matter.
That's not success. I'm legitimate. A legitimate character actor of the stage and film. This is variety.
I only asked.
Nor did it matter whether or not you knew that one of the catchphrases on national service sitcom The Army Game, which made Hartnell a household name, was, "I only asked." Gatiss took care to lay his Easter eggs lightly. They were there if you wanted them, but never got in the way of the story, which, as well as informative, wry and nostalgic, was ultimately about camaraderie, the onset of mortality, and the power of self-belief, and rather moving. Look who was hanging around outside the studio. We'll have to wait to find out which of Channel 4's Gogglebox viewers spotted companions Jean Marsh and Anna K. Wills. My money's on none of them.
Oh, Poirot! I miss Poirot.
Why is it his last case? Oh my god, you don't think something's going to happen to him, do you?
Oh god.
There was some discussion here last week about the self-consciousness, or otherwise, of the programme's armchair critics. But if Louis, 17, from Brighton, is putting this hysterical persona on for the cameras, he deserves to be on television.
I knew that.
Poirot died? How can he be dead? He hasn't even finished the case.
Poirot died!
You will not have realized, Hastings, that recently I have taken to wearing the false moustache. Even George.
Oh! That is the biggest shocker of the whole episode! The moustache is fake!
So for the whole 25 years you had a fake moustache on?
I'm sorry, but these people still make me feel a little bit surplus to requirements. But I don't think they'll be reviewing this.
Greddf sy'n arwain Matthias sydd ar ganfod y gwir nawr yn y gwyll. Mae'r rhaglen yn cynnwys pethiaeth gref a golygfeydd o drais. Now on SOC, a gwyll with English subtitles on screen. This programme contains strong language and some violence.
Hinterland to those of us watching in English, but Arweth to those watching on S4C, it seems that Scandi-style noir has come to Wales. A mightily effective Welsh variation on what the Danes do so naturally, Hinterland seems to have crash-landed like a gloomy existential asteroid in the hillsides of the formerly bilingual, but now unilingual, S4C. And all 8 episodes are available on their website. For fans of stark beauty and tawdry death, a treat awaits. There's a troubled cop, played by Richard Harrington, who you've seen in Spooks and Lark Rise. He's self-exiled from the Met in Aberystwyth and lives in a symbolically remote and impermanent caravan, which places him right among the elements, and the criminal elements. As you can see, it all looks unyieldingly magnificent in this particular episode, captured by director Rhys Powys, and the stories are unerringly bleak and chilly. But the extra element of intrigue for non-Welsh speakers is the exotic language barrier.
Mae adroddiad y patholegydd yn gweud bod y dŵr yn ei ysgyfaint yn cynnwys lefel uchel o fawn a gwastraff anifeiliaid.
Anifeiliaid? Pa fath o anifeiliaid?
Mae'r dŵr yn cynnwys maint sylweddol o faw a charthion defyd.
Mae digon o fel am hyn.
As with any foreign language drama, the subtitles keep you glued to the screen, and that high level of concentration intensifies your involvement with the action. Also, edutainment, you start to pick up Welsh words.
Dyn nhw'r corff tua 10 metr I lawr, oedd wedi glymu rhywbeth. Daladd un o'r deifored o'i flipper a dath e'n rhydd.
Ble mae'r camper fan nawr?
Ni'n checo camerau traffig, unrhyw CCTV sy ar gael.
Chi'n right?
Chi'n gwerthu Goodyear tractor tyres?
Flipper, campervan, CCTV, Goodyear tractor tyres. I think I'm ready for the oral. Seriously though, a gwyth is a revelation. They actually filmed the whole thing twice, and the English language version is coming to English telly, but catch it while it's local. Here's your moment of zen, because he's got a cat in it.
Tess Daly's dresses don't get any fucking better, do they?